All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me know if you can't hear me. I put a little icebreaker in the chat, so feel free to drop in the chat where you're from and one thing you're excited for about this fall. But we'll go ahead and get started. This meeting is being recorded, and that's just because not everybody could attend this time. So just know that. Awesome. And so we'll go through our presentation, and then at the end, we'll actually have the Q&A portion. So you can either drop your questions into the chat or to the Q&A section, or just hold them to the end and you can come off of mute to ask them then when we get there. All right, so let me share my screen. All right. So thank you for attending the Rake Up Boise 101 session. So a little bit about NeighborWorks Boise. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit that's been around for the last 42 years, primarily in the Treasure Valley. We help revitalize neighborhoods and improve the lives throughout the region by addressing housing needs from the full spectrum. So we help people acquire housing, maintain their housing, and then preserve their housing. So since 1982, we've been able to educate more than 2,256 students. And we've provided over 1,200 loans, and we've provided, we have 282 affordable rental units that people live in. So we do a little bit of everything. So some people know us for Rake Up Boise and Paint the Town. Other people know us because we do home buyers education, pre-purchase counseling, and rental counseling. And then we have a rehab department, and then we have a construction department as well. So the team, so I'm Cody Burnett. I'm in the CB&E department, which is the community building and engagement department. And then Inga, our COO, also helps with Rake Up Boise currently as well. She can attend today. She's out, but you get me. And then I'll also introduce Lisa Knapp from the city of Boise's here to talk about the Curb It program as well. So a little bit about Rake Up Boise. So in 2023, we had over 4,000 volunteers. We went through over 18,000 leaf bags, and we raked over 800 yards. Thanks to all of you. We couldn't do it without you. And so our total so far for this year, we have 315 teams signed up. We have about 16,000 leaf bags requested for yards, and we have 700 yards signed up currently. And since 1985, we've almost done 21,000 yards. So it's pretty crazy to see these things grow every year, and we're very grateful that you could be a part of it with us. So what's next? This is what you're all wondering, right? So you'll receive your assignments by not this Friday, but next Friday in your team captain portal. They'll show up there. We'll also send an email out to all of the team captains letting them know that assignments have been made. If you have any issues with your assignment, feel free to contact us by email or by giving us a phone call, and we can help figure those out because we're able to move things around. So if you've got too many or they're a little bit bigger than you thought, or you want a different location, any of those things, we'll do our best to accommodate them. Obviously, 700 yards and 315 teams, it takes a little bit of, moving things around to get everybody happy. So we'll do our best with that. So once you've received your assignment, We ask that you contact the homeowners. And so most of the homeowners won't pick up because they get lots of spam calls. So go ahead and leave them a voicemail telling them who you are and how to contact you, and they'll call. If that doesn't work, texting also is pretty prevalent amongst them as well. Sometimes they text better. So go ahead and try that. And then make sure to have all of your volunteers sign up in the team captain portal. So under there, you'll have a volunteers tab. Go ahead and click on that. And it will give you a registration link that you can send to all your volunteers, have them sign up in there. And that's just so we can track how many volunteers actually show up and attend each team, because some teams, when they register in September, think they're only going to have 20 people. And then by the time they actually rake in November, they have 50 people. But unless you tell us about that difference, we're not able to capture that, which is something that's really important for our grant funding so that we're actually able to create this program and keep it sustainable. And then obviously you need to pick up leaf bags as well. So that's going to be on the 16th of November at our office, which is off of Americana Terrace. It'll be from 9 to 11. It's a drive-through style, and anyone from your team is allowed to pick up leaf bags. All they need to know is the team captain's name or the team name, and we'll be able to find the leaf bags for them and get them to everyone. So if for some reason you can't rake on, or you can't pick up your leaf bags, no one from your team can on the 16th, or you're actually raking on the 16th, go ahead and reach out to us via email or by phone call so that we can set up an appointment with you. Just because of capacity, we have to schedule each person's pickup separately, so that we make sure that we have your leaf bags ready for you and that somebody's available to help you actually get the leaf bags. Because as you can imagine, if 300 teams just showed up all at the same time in our office, it would take a long time to get everybody's leaf bags to them. And so if you can't do it on the 16th, just shoot us an email or give us a call and we'll be able to get that scheduled for you so that you can get your leaf bags. And then obviously the next step is raking those yards. And like I said a little bit earlier, you have choice. So if the 23rd doesn't work for your team, that's fine. There's a few dates that we ask that you don't do, and that's just because it's super early. So like the first week of Rake Up Boise, or the first week of November, we're not allowing people to do it then, just because it does a disservice to the homeowners, because lots of times their leaves aren't completely down yet and they get a little bit frustrated about that. So we're trying to make this the best that we can for both teams and for the homeowners themselves. And so if you need to do it on a different date outside of the 23rd, we just ask that you let us know so that we can put it in our system, so that if your homeowner calls us asking questions, we're able to inform them as well. Because obviously sometimes they lose your number or they just want to ask us. And if I don't know, I just have to assume the 23rd. And then if you're coming on a different day or a weekday, I won't be able to inform them if you don't let us know. So just let us know. Again, you can either put that in your team captain portal, or you could give us a call or an email again. And then when you're all done, send photos to us. So you can either send them via email. We'll also be sending a Dropbox link to everybody. And that just helps us capture all the fun that you have. Like these photos that are on these slides are actually teams from last year. And so if we don't get any photos from you, it makes it hard to capture all this stuff, because obviously with 700 yards, we're not able to go around and see everybody's yards being raked, but is obviously something that we like to capture. All right, so I'm going to turn the time over to Lisa Knapp. She's from the city of Boise in their Curbit program, and she's going to talk a little bit about the leaf bag protocol and best practices there for the homeowners and for the teams, so that the homeowners can get their leaf bags picked up.
Awesome. Thank you, Cody Ann. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, super. Yeah, okay, so a couple things. First of all, as Cody Ann mentioned, they are providing all of these leaf bags for you. Everything absolutely must either go into a compost cart or into these compostable paper leaf bags. So any leaves throughout the fall, not just through this program, but at anybody's curb that are in a plastic bag of any type, even those lovely little pumpkin ones we're seeing this time of year, will go to the trash and will be landfilled because they just simply don't have the time to cut them all open and get the leaves out. So make sure you're using the correct bags. This whole program, Cody, can you go to the next slide for me?
Yes.
Thanks. So this does run during kind of our busiest time of year for the compost program. From about early November through mid-December, we expect to pick up about 8,000 tons of leaves from around the city. It's about a third of the volume that we'll bring in throughout the year. So we really appreciate your help and your support in helping our service partner, Public Services, keep up with this. It's a monumental task that they do every year. So for curbside service in particular, a couple of things for you to remember and to relay to your residents, because it always does get confusing. If their leaves are going to be picked up from the street where the kind of trash truck that comes has a mechanical arm that goes out to the side, the cart absolutely must be out every single week. This can be a little bit tricky for, especially if people have some different abilities and have a hard time getting the cart in and out. So please make sure that your residents have a way to get their cart to the curb. The drivers have to get out, put those bags into the cart, and then pick it up to put it into the trash truck. So the cart needs to be out. You guys can fill those carts up with leaves first. And those leaf bags need to be placed 3 feet away from the cart so that claw can pick it up. We do only pick up during this time of year 10 bags per week from each house. When they can, especially after Rake Up Boise, they'll try to pick up extra bags if it's possible. But if we get to a place where we're already behind on service and having a hard time keeping up with it, then those drivers are instructed to only take 10 bags, even if there's 100 out there. So residents just need to keep their bags out. They will come back for them. They will follow up with sweeper trucks, and they'll follow up the following weeks until all of the bags are picked up. Let's see. And then one thing that you guys can do that can really help to stay ahead of this. Cody Ann, you want to go to that next slide? Thank you. So the city of Boise and other cities around the valley do have leaf drop-off sites that are placed around. I've listed the ones here that are available within Boise, but if you're in Meridian, you can check in with the city where those are. These are just a giant roll-off trash container. They are for leaves only. So if you have a pickup truck available and can take some of your leaf bags to these sites, please do. If they are full, please don't put bags into them. It makes it difficult for them to service and get them out of there. But the one place where it will never be full is the Ada County landfill. They have a special leaf collection area. It is totally free to drop off leaves this time of year. So if you're able to load those bags up into a pickup truck and go to the landfill, that is the best way to make sure they get picked up and that the resident whose yard you're raking is very happy with us. So, and that is all I have. I'll have some time at the end to be on for questions if anybody has any too.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Lisa. And so the next part is what if questions, right? This is where everybody gets stuck, is like, what if things don't go exactly how we planned? So we'll talk about those. So the first one, pet waste policies. Obviously, it does happen. And so our policy is if there's poop, it's up to you. So if you step on one piece and you feel like you don't want to be there, you don't want to finish, or you have it all over, we want this to be a good experience for you as well. And we have informed all homeowners about this policy, letting them know that if they have an outdoor dog or cat and they have waste in their yard, that teams are allowed to leave if they feel like they don't want to continue raking, so that it's a good experience for them. So if you choose to leave, make sure to contact the Rake Up team That's my phone number, 208-258-6233. And then that way we can contact the homeowner as well and let them know what happened. So obviously they'll look out and see that their yard didn't get raked, and ultimately be a little upset. And we'll just explain the situation. And we warned them all beforehand. We're also going to try to give them all a call to remind them about picking up the yard waste, because that's something that we have had complaints about, and we now have a pretty strict policy on it. And so if they end up becoming a repeat offender of having too much like animal waste in their yard, we'll actually ask them to no longer use this program. And that's just because we want this to be a good experience for volunteers. And then inclement weather. So with November in the state of Idaho, it could be summer, it could be fall, it could be winter, or somewhere in between with the weather. And so things happen. And so if it snows, if it's just a light snowing, you can still rake. It's totally up to your team. If you choose to continue to rake, just remember that when leaves are wet, only fill them half as full. So don't fill them past the halfway mark, just because they'll get too heavy and they'll rip through the bags. So when like Republic Services or Hardin or any of the other trash companies go to pick them up, they'll just fall right through the leaf bags. That's something we don't want, because then the leaves will no longer be raked. The same thing goes with rain. So if it's a light raining and you feel comfortable still going, feel free to continue. If it's a heavy downpour, do your best if you can to reschedule on either snow or rain if it happens. If you can't, because of scheduling and you just can't get your team back together or enough of your team to feel like you can do the assignments, just let us know. And that's something that homeowners are prepared for, knowing that this is a free service and nothing's guaranteed. And so obviously we'll try our best to make sure that everybody gets raked or rescheduled. But obviously if we have inclement weather on the day that everyone's trying to rake, we obviously have to adapt a little bit. And we'll make sure to call all the homeowners that don't get raked, let them know what happened, and then let them know that we'll prioritize them for the following year, making sure that they're the first people to get raked and make sure that their yard will get raked. Because obviously I can't control the weather. Obviously we're hoping for sunny and slightly warm, but anything is possible. And then the homeowners themselves. So let's say you can't get a hold of your homeowner, right? You've left a voicemail, you tried email, you tried text, you're just not getting through to them. Go ahead, give us a call, and we'll try to call, because sometimes they have our phone number saved, because we've been in contact with them before. So we're able to help facilitate that for you. And then if you're not able to ever get a hold of them and we're not able to get a hold of them, and you still feel comfortable raking your yard, you can just their yard, you can show up. You can also try showing up at their house, knocking on the door. Sometimes they're hard of hearing, and so they don't hear the phone or different things like that. So if you feel like comfortable either driving by or showing up, knocking on the door, you can do that. Worst case, we just ask that if you never get a hold of them and you don't feel comfortable, if you could just rake the front yard and then just let us know that you didn't feel comfortable going to the backyard because you never got any confirmation from your homeowner. Another thing, homeowners ask you to do extra jobs lots of times, like clean the gutters, trim the trees, pull out weeds, right? So we've made it very clear to homeowners that this is a leaf raking service, but if you're willing to do any of these things, it's totally up to you and your team and what you decide. So homeowners can ask, and you can feel free to tell them that you don't feel comfortable doing something or you're just here to rake leaves. They understand that. If for some reason they give you any like pushback or they get upset with you about any of the decisions that you make, again, just feel free to call us and we'll help be the liaison there, because they do understand this is a service and you're not expected to do anything other than rake the leaves, put them in the bags, and do that. And homeowners know that, but as a lot of these are elderly or disabled individuals, they're not able to do a lot of things. And so they might try to shoot their shot and see as much as they can get and as much help as they can get provided. And so they might ask. And the same thing goes with they ask you to come back, right? And so our policy is that this is a one-time event. If your team chooses to rake again, feel free to like tell them that you can come back or anything like that. But we make it very clear that this is a one-time event, and so don't refer them back to us because there's no other teams that we're assigning, and this is just a one-time thing. It's not meant to get 100% of their leaves. It's just meant to get the majority or a good portion of them as much as we can get. And so just make sure that you don't make any like promises or anything like that if you can't fulfill it. It'd be better to surprise them than to commit and then not show up. Because then sometimes they'll call us and say that, you didn't show up and there's nothing we can do about it, obviously. When it's like December or January or whenever they thought you were coming back. And so if you want to, that's totally up to you, but just know that they are expecting this as a one-time event. And so if they ask otherwise, you're not expected to come back. And then the same goes with if the homeowners are contacting you after the fact, asking for other jobs or help or returning, feel free to give us a call or a text or an email letting us know, and we can let them know that they need to stop contacting you. I mean, sometimes they are a little bit lonely or they just need all of these things done and they're hoping that you'll be the answer to all of that. And we try our best to work with the homeowners to let them know that like you're volunteers and you're not on call for any of their things. And so we can help facilitate any of that because we want this to be a good experience and we want team captains to feel comfortable. All right. So next, you ran out of bags, right? You're at the house, you have half a yard left, and you know you're going to need more leaf bags, and you have one left, right? So stay calm. Just go ahead, text us or call us at this number, and we can deliver them. So we'll only be delivering day of on November 23rd. However, if you're raking a different day, you can feel free to give us a call still, and we can try to arrange them, or we can set some outside for you if it's outside of like business hours when you're going to be able to pick them up. We can set some out so that you can get those extra leaf bags, because again, everything has to go into those paper leaf bags because they're the only compostable way to dispose of the leaves. All right, so best practices. So this picture is not a best practice, right? We don't really recommend getting on roofs or doing anything that would be dangerous. So we don't recommend, like I said, being on roofs, climbing trees. Don't shake the trees or limbs. This can cause damage sometimes because the trees sometimes go into their dormant state, and so they're a little bit more fragile. And then just leave the yard in better condition than when you got there. That's the goal. So nobody is expecting you to have 100% of the leaves picked up or to have it, 100% done, things like that, or to get every single leaf that's on their tree. And so we just ask that you leave it better than when you got there, and that's enough for us. And so, yeah. All right, so now we'll open it up to questions. So you can either drop them in the Q&A or in the chat, or you can come off of mute and ask them.
What was that phone number again?
Yeah, so it's going to be 208-258-6233, and I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, I have a question too. How do you know if any of your team members that you sent the link to signed up? Is there a portal that you can go to under the team captain or something that states whether or not a team member signed up?
Yeah, so when you log into your team captain portal, which you can find the link on the Rake Up Boise website, go there. There's one that says team captain login. Click on that. You should be able to see volunteers, and then it's going to show you everybody that's signed up to volunteer under your team. And if you have issues like logging in or anything like that, feel free to reach out to us. We can also see it. So if for some reason your portal's not showing your volunteers at all, we can look on our side and we can pull them as well.
Thank you.
Someone typed in the chat for the address to pick up leaf bags.
Yes. So the address, so if you're coming to pick the leaf bags up on November 16th, it will just be in our parking lot. But if you're trying to pick them up on a time outside of that and you're getting it scheduled with us, it will be like our suite number, and I'm putting that in the chat right now.
I do have a question. You said that you'll be sending out a link that we can send to people to sign up. Is that correct? If we're team captains?
So it's individual to each team captain. So if you go into your portal and you go under volunteers, you have a unique link. So you can do that. So if you're having trouble finding it, reach out to us and we should be able to like give you that link as well. But you should do it yourself because just because like each link is individual so that like it's not like a mass sign up, it like signs up under you specifically. And then they can see the contact information as well. So like they'll see your name and your email or phone number, whichever you put in there.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then there's one in the chat. It says, do children need to register? If not, what age group needs to register? We prefer having the children be registered by whoever's responsible for them. It doesn't have to have like direct contact information. You don't have to put like phone numbers or anything like that. But we just ask that you put those in there. You can either choose to give them names or give them no names. Like if you're a school group, you can say student one, and then however many students you have, that's acceptable because I understand that they're minors. So it's up to you. It's just, this is the easiest way for us to track how many people. And so obviously, if you feel comfortable, like if you have high school age kids, having them use the portal to just sign up and put their names in, that's great. If you don't, just make sure to give that. Or if you'd rather just give us the number afterwards of like, this is how many volunteers we had, you can do that as well. It's just a metric that helps us track how many volunteers are there. Because obviously, I don't know how many are going to show up versus how many you originally registered for.
So that sign up link is just mainly just for metrics purposes. Like there's like, so as a team captain, we could just sign up our whole team. Like if we have a way of tracking our team, otherwise, is that acceptable?
Yeah, so there's technically a waiver in there as well, like when they do it. However, it's like a pretty standard waiver and you can just send the waiver to everybody. So as long as they've seen it or they consent, or you as a team captain are like ultimately assuming liability if something were to happen. Granted, knock on wood, in 39 years, we've never had any incidents and we're hoping to keep it that way. It's a pretty low risk activity. But yeah, if you like have an Excel sheet, you can just go in and drop everybody in there yourselves. Like that's what lots of team captains do. It's mostly a tracking metric that's most important to us. Obviously, there is a little waiver in there, but you can either screenshot that, send that to everybody, or just, you know, have them know that like if anything were to happen, like they're not going to sue us. That's what basically the registration part says. But like I said, we've never had any problems. Let's see. Ashley, I don't think I quite understand your question. Could you come off of mute and explain what you mean by our individual teams going to be the only ones in the direct area?
Yeah, so I was just wondering, because I'll have inmates with me from the prison, and I was just wondering how many, like, these are just residential homes, right?
Yes. Correct.
So like if I had my team of inmates and there's anticipated, we're only going to bring 13 because that's how many can fit in one van. So will we be directly by other teams?
It just depends. So, like on the areas, so we can definitely make sure that they're not if they aren't supposed to be or different things like that. But most people don't usually end up like right next to teams. They might be like in the same subdivision or neighborhood. So you might see other
Okay.
people breaking, but the chances
Okay.
of being like next to each other at houses is a little bit more slim, and that's something we can accommodate too as well, because sometimes we have that with like the elementary schools. We need to make sure that there's not a huge like team of adults right next to them, and so we're able to accommodate that as well. And we can take a look because we can pull up the map of where everybody is, and so if you need like a more like isolated or a yard that's farther away from other people, we're able to do that as well.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so far the plan, and I have to talk to my deputy warden, the one that signed us up for this initially. But so far my plan, I mean, I won't be taking anybody that has any restrictions in the district, like in Boise, or anybody with crimes against children. So I'm not terribly worried. I just wanted to know how many people would be around.
Yeah, I mean, usually you just see them like in the area. It's pretty rare that they're like next door at the house, but there's always a possibility if your timing lines up that like you would be.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, well, thank you. Thank you for answering.
No problem. And then for Brianna, so like her question is, what do we do if we do not get enough of our team to sign up? So there's a couple options. So we can either assign you a different size yard to accommodate your new team. We can try to combine you with a team. Lots of years we have waitlist teams or individuals. We also have a community team that is just made up of individuals from the community that didn't have enough people for a team. And so we're able to accommodate that in however works best for you. Just reach out to us so that we can find whatever works for you. So let's say you thought you were going to have 20 people and you have 5. Well, we can make sure that you get a little yard that's only like 5 bags, and that would be like 1 bag per person. And so it's definitely something that we can work with. Or vice versa. Like if you thought you were going to have 20 people and you ended up having 75 people show up, feel free to reach out to us because we always have a wait list of homeowners. And so like if you finish early as well, you can also give us a call and we can tell you the closest yard to you if you feel like you want to keep raking because it was a little bit shorter than you thought. We're able to do that. Or if you had to leave a yard because of animal waste and you still want to rake a different one, we'll be able to help with that as well. Chelsea's question is, how do you change yard size? So you should, the ultimate word being should, be able to change it in the team captain portal. Other people have had issues with that. And so if that's something that you have issues with, just feel free to shoot us like an email or call or text, and we can get that sorted for you. Or if you get your yard assignment and you think that it's not something that you can do, you joke by and you just think it's too big or too small, feel free to contact us because we can still do some like wiggling around and moving people around. And then it looks like Yadira asked, if we're raking on the 16th of November, is there availability to pick up the leaf bags sooner? So yes, but it's by appointment only. So you have to reach out to us so that we can make sure that we have your leaf bags. And that's just because it's pretty much just me that's running all of that right now. And so I just want to make sure that we're able to help you when you're actually coming. So we have time slots that we can accommodate for people. And then if worst case
Sorry, I meant to
scenario,
give it back to you. We still have some of your steals. Whenever we go to ours.
but then so yeah, so you can pick them up sooner. And then worst case, if you needed to pick them outside of our business hours, which are 8 to 5, we could leave them outside the front door for you with a little like note saying those ones are your specific leaf bags. So we definitely have options. We just ask that you communicate with us so that we can have that all prepared. And then it looks like Kendra has a question. It says, can we request dumpsters for extra large yards, especially with the 10 bags a week pickup restriction? We usually have the same yard and it's 70 to 90 bags. So unfortunately, how it works for us is so Republic Services, which is the trash company for the city of Boise, does donate 5 dumpsters to us. However, we just prioritize sending them to the largest yards that get signed up each year. And those yards for the last year have all been over 200 bags. So a 70 to 90 bag yard isn't unfortunately large enough to get the dumpsters. And it just would cost us too much to order a dumpster for each of the yards that's really large. So that's when we ask teams if they're able to take some away. That would be very helpful for us. If they can't, we can also try sometimes to schedule. We have a dump trailer, so if for some reason their trash company's not picking them up anymore, but the good part is Republic Services will go all the way through December and keep picking up their leaf bags, even if it's 10 at a time. So even if it takes seven weeks, they'll keep picking them up for them. And usually towards the end, sometimes they'll pick up a little bit more just because there's less leaf bags in the system. So if they have them all lined up, obviously it does take longer and it's not as ideal, but that's just what we have because we can't pick up leaf bags for 700 yards ourselves. And then it looks like a phone number asked a question. It says we bring our own rakes, correct? This is correct. We don't provide rakes. That's the only thing we ask of you is to bring the people and bring the rakes and then bring the leaf bags we give to you. But we'll give you leaf bags, and if you need extra leaf bags, obviously reach out to us. If you have extra leaf bags after the fact, you can either leave them with the homeowner, keep them yourself, or you can bring them back to our office, whatever you prefer. Oh, and then like Lisa said, they'll pick up, Republic Services will pick up 10 leaf bags year round. So there's no end date for them in the city of Boise, at least. Awesome. Are there any other questions? All right. Well, I'm not seeing any. Feel free if you have like a more specific question for you and your team to contact us. I just threw up my contact. I'll also be on here for another like couple minutes. But you're all free to go. Have a good rest of your day and thanks so much for taking the time to come to this training.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Bye-bye.
So I'm having a little bit of an issue. My name is Lori Talbot. I'm with Republic Services, and we registered, or I registered for us, but I'm not able to log in.
Yeah, I can definitely take a look at that. So what happens sometimes is people will misspell their email address like by one letter and then they can't log in. But I can take a look and see, or I can see whose email is, and then I can send you an email as well with your direct link to log in. You just go in there and you can put in as well. So sometimes it's just something like that, or sometimes people will get locked out because they forget the password that they have.
Well,
But
I did need to reset my password, and all I'm getting is a link that just tells me my assignments. And I don't know what the password is, and I can't get logged in. Does that make sense?
yeah, so that happens sometimes. So sometimes when team captains have done, or like, have you logged in a previous year as like the team captain?
Yes, with a different email.
Yeah, so sometimes it does like this weird thing where it like tries to connect them together. And then we can take a look at that, and if we need to, we can get IT involved to like separate them back out. But sometimes weird things happen to people if they have like multiple accounts in there and it figures out that you're the same person. But we can definitely take a look.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You might also try a different browser or clear the cookies in your current browser. It's holding on to your last
I've
year's.
tried all that.
Okay.
I've
Good
tried
job.
logging it in Google, and I put in the login link with my email address. I get this email or this website that
Yeah. I'm the one that asked if we can take leaves to the landfill for no charge.
Correct. You can.
And do we just have to tell them we're with Rake Up Boise?
I think Lisa's still on. She can answer.
Yeah, you can actually, anybody can take leaves to the landfill for free during the fall.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
As long as they're in the compostable leaf bags. So as long as they're not in any plastic containers at all, right, Lisa?
That's correct. They can also be loose. I mean, it's probably easier to use leaf bags for this program, but you can also take them like with a tarp in a pickup truck and just dump them out. They don't have to be in a leaf bag for that program.
Okay, perfect.